Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. The shattered echoes of betrayal hung in the air like smoke from an extinguished candle. Alex stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, the harsh fluorescent light illuminating bloodshot eyes filled with a storm of anger and disbelief. He had given her everything: love, loyalty, and a future. Yet, like a cruel twist of fate, those dreams lay in ruins, crushed beneath the weight of her deceit. In the stillness of the morning, Alex replayed the night's events, the phone call he had overheard, the revelation sharp enough to cut through his heart. "It's over." Emily's voice had trembled, almost as if she too could sense the impending doom. But it wasn't over. Not yet. How could she? How could the woman he cherished betray him with another? He gritted his teeth, feeling the hot tide of rage swell within him. His phone buzzed on the bathroom counter, illuminating the name Emily on the screen. Should he answer? Should he confront her? The thoughts tore through him like shrapnel, each punctuated by the reality of her betrayal. "Alex, it's not what you think," she would say, her voice dripping with a mix of innocence and guilt. But deep down, he felt the burning sensation of mistrust. He had seen the glances, the whispered conversations she shared with Mark. Tension coiled tight within his chest as he remembered how Mark had always been there, lurking in the shadows, a supposed friend. Through the haze of anger, Alex could see it clearly. The deception was a web, and he was ensnared. It had all started innocently, joyfully. Emily had come into his life like a breath of fresh air, filling the emptiness he never knew existed. Her smile was contagious, pulling him into a masquerade of bliss where he believed they would weather any storm together. But storms had a way of unveiling truths, and this storm was a tempest. As he stepped out of the bathroom, he could feel the air thickening around him, every heartbeat echoing with possibility of revenge. He had never considered himself vengeful, yet betrayal had a way of stripping away moralities, revealing an insatiable hunger for justice. And now, his world was darkened by the seed of vengeance she had planted with her infidelity. He resolved that the confrontation was inevitable. Suppressing the whirlwind of emotions, he descended into the chaos of his home, where memories of love suffocated him. The photographs that lined their walls became gallows of his former happiness, their wedding plans, the laughter shared, the promise of a future, now bitter reminders of a cruel fracture. As the clock ticked away, each second pulled him deeper into an abyss of fury. He called Mark instead, his voice colder than ice as he challenged his so-called best friend. "We need to talk, Mark, now." Mark's response was evasive, invoking a casual tone, perhaps unworthy of the tension brewing beneath the surface. "Hey, Alex!" "What's up? Isn't this a bit out of nowhere?" The casualness made Alex's blood boil, but he maintained composure. "Let's just say I'm aware of things I shouldn't be. Meet me at the usual place. Don't make me wait." The abrupt hang-up left a silence that screamed of desperation and hidden truths. He took to the streets, his heart a battleground. The weight of betrayal heaved with each step he took toward the bar. Every footfall was a countdown, fueling the resolve that had hardened his spirit into a steel resolve. Inside the bar, the dim lights cast a sinister glow upon the faces of patrons lost in their own world. As he slid onto a bar stool, the familiar atmosphere only added to the sense of foreboding. He ordered a drink, the sharp taste of whiskey cutting through his apprehensions like the bitter truth he was uncovering. A few minutes passed before Mark sauntered in, charismatically oblivious to the tempest brewing within Alex. "Hey there, buddy. You look intense. What's eating you?" He chuckled, raising a brow, which only served to heighten the barrage of memories flooding back. Memories of friendship that now felt tainted. With a forced smile, Alex leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Oh, just my girlfriend's recent absence, and the fact you've been too close for comfort." Mark's expression shifted, the easy grin faltering just slightly. "What do you mean? Emily? She's just my friend, man." But Alex saw it clear as day. The nervous flicker in Mark's eyes, the slight twitch of his hands. "You think I'm an idiot? I saw you two together. Heard your late-night conversations," flirty whispers laced between lies. The tension thickened, an electric line drawn between them. Mark's facade cracked. And in that split second, Alex could see it. The guilt, the betrayal of a friend. "Okay, Alex, I didn't mean for it to happen like that. She's amazing, all right?" The confession poured out, and with it, Mark's bravado collapsed into desperation. Each syllable struck Alex like a physical blow. The world around him faded, his reality growing distorted against the backdrop of his anguish. "So, you always wanted this, huh? To play house while I was obliviously planning my future with her?" Breathless silence stretched into eternity, until a mocking laugh escaped Alex's lips. "You believe in loyalty, right? Was that a lie too?" Mark shifted uncomfortably, his face flushing. "It was a mistake. One night." His voice wavered, the confession weaving a tangled web of excuses. Alex stood, the adrenaline coursing through him, a fire awakened by betrayal. "You think I care about your feeble apologies? You stole everything from me, Mark. You ruined me. And I will make you pay, you backstabbing fraud." With those words, he turned, fists clenched, ready to unleash the storm that had stirred within him. As he exited the bar, an idea struck. Revenge wouldn't come easy. It would require precision. A plan woven into the very fabric of the deception that had ruined his life. It wouldn't be enough for him to explode in violence. He needed to orchestrate a downfall so exquisite that their suffering echoed his own. Underneath the glaring streetlights, Alex felt the gravity of his choices weigh heavily. The pain was still fresh, a raw wound that would guide his actions in the days to come. The city pulsed with life around him, laughter and celebration ringing a hollow note in his ears. Later that night, he sat hunched over his laptop, the screen illuminating the dark thoughts rumbling inside his spirit. He spent the hours piecing together a plan that could expose Mark and Emily to the world, unfolding their betrayal in a way that would leave them broken and humiliated. The glow from the screen flickered in synchrony with his resilient heart, but each keystroke buried him deeper in deception's embrace. With every word typed, he could almost feel their shame wrapping around them, squeezing until they gasped for breath. In that moment, he acknowledged the darkness that had seeped into his soul, the once bright man consumed by anguish and bitterness. Tomorrow would bring a reckoning. Betrayal would no longer cloak them in shadows. Alex reveled in the idea that he could be the master of the storm, wielding revenge like a weapon, keeping their fate tightly bound to his own unleashed fury. Before long, the weight of exhaustion pulled him into an uneasy sleep, where dreams of vengeance haunted him. He envisioned the moments of his triumph, a public shaming, the betrayal laid bare, their anguished faces etched in his mind, serving as a reminder of the deep wound they had inflicted upon his spirit. Morning arrived, and with it, the first brushstroke of his plan unfolded. He contacted an old friend in media, someone with the right connections. The call was crisp, tense, and layered with the urgency of his revelation. "I need your help. It's time to expose some truths that many want to keep hidden." The satisfaction of control surged within him as he plotted their downfall, penning the betrayals they thought they had buried. The thrill of revenge began to bloom steadily, nourished by the sorrow and losses he now clutched like a weapon ready to strike. As he drafted an article that cast light on their dual betrayal under a scorching spotlight, he felt lighter, building momentum toward their inevitable unraveling. Each sentence brought closure. It wouldn't erase the heartbreak, but creating a new force to drive forth, a narrative of revenge, seething with the honesty of his pain, poised to consume those who had forsaken him. Time stretched as he read over his work, cold to the bitter end. Each word was imbued with the weight of his heartbreak, each sentence a shard of glass that would cut into their lies, bleeding them under scrutiny. He found a perverse comfort in knowing that he could wield this against them, hoisting the banners of their betrayal high for all to see. With the outline of his revenge taking shape, Alex was resolute, vowing to bring their facade crashing down. The betrayal would not go unpunished. It was time to flip the script, turning his pain into their undoing, each moment bringing him closer to the satisfaction he so desperately craved. As the sun dipped beneath the skyline, casting long shadows across Alex's determined face, he prepared for the next stage of his meticulously crafted plan. It was almost poetic, the way the day's end mirrored his own descent into betrayal's dark abyss. He could feel the pent-up rage surging through him, an adrenaline-fueled promise of retribution that seemed to thrum in rhythm with his heartbeat. The following morning, Alex sat at the hulking desk in his tiny apartment. A stark contrast to the life he had once envisaged with Emily. Bright sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the chaos of crumpled notes and half-finished whiskey bottles scattered about. But today, he wouldn't drown in despair. Today, he would rise. He finished drafting the article, detailing the sordid affair between Emily and Mark. In sharp, unforgiving prose, he laid bare the truths they had overshadowed with their hollow apologies and insincere smiles. This wasn't just a confession. It was a weapon, an emotional bomb designed to devastate not just their lives, but their carefully constructed facades. Sending the article to his media contact felt as liberating as it was exhilarating. With one click, he unleashed a storm that would ripple through their lives. It would weave through the fabric of their relationships until everything unraveled, choked by the raw and ugly truth. Waiting for the fallout, he felt both alive and haunted, familiar and foreign. Days turned into endless hours filled with anxiety and anticipation. Then came the notifications, the cacophony of betrayal breaking through the silence. Headlines erupted across digital platforms, each proclaiming the shocking revelation, the tragic love affair between Alex's ex and his best friend. As social media erupted in a frenzy of gossip, Alex couldn't help but smile, grim satisfaction dancing in his chest. By the time the news reached Emily and Mark, they were already under siege. Alex watched from a distance as their worlds began to crumble. Friends turned away. Acquaintances whispered. A text from a mutual friend pinged his phone. "Did you read this? What a total betrayal." Alex felt the delicious thrill of watching the fallout unfold. Every word he had penned had spiraled into their lives like missiles, fragmenting everything they held dear. In the wake of the article's release, Alex decided it was finally time to confront them. He was done lurking in the shadows, fueled by steaming revenge. He wanted them to know that he had orchestrated their humiliation. As he prepared for the confrontation, he felt the years of love morphing into something sharper, more toxic. The setting was a local cafe, teeming with the casual buzz of conversation. But Alex's heart thudded to a different rhythm, one of impending confrontation. He walked through the door, feeling every eye stray toward him, intrigued by the gathering storm that was about to unfold. Emily and Mark sat across from each other, their expressions mixing surprise and dread when they spotted him. "Alex!" Emily's voice was tinged with embarrassment as she straightened in her seat, the blood draining from her face. "What are you doing here? Isn't it obvious?" "I'm here to celebrate," he replied, his voice dripping with biting sarcasm as he grabbed a chair, pulling it toward them with a scrape that echoed through the crowded room. Sitting down sharply, he locked eyes with Mark, the man who had shattered his trust. "What's your plan now?" he asked Mark, throwing him a dispassionate gaze. "You're not hiding behind Emily anymore, are you, now that the world knows your dirty little secret?" Mark looked flustered, fumbling with his words as he opened his mouth to defend himself, but Alex cut him off. "You don't get to explain yourself. Not now, not ever." You think any of this will make sense? You think words can rebuild what you took from me?" Emily winced. Her eyes brimmed with tears, though Alex felt no pity whatsoever. He faced her, his voice steady and cold. "Look where your betrayal has led you. You've lost everything. Your reputation, your friends, all laid bare before the world." "That wasn't my intention, Alex," she implored, her voice barely a whisper, quavering under the weight of his steady gaze. "I never meant for it to end like this." "End like this?" he echoed, letting a bitter laugh escape his lips. "It's only just begun. You think this is an ending? This is just the preamble to your downfall." Was it satisfaction he felt, or just the glee of their torture? Either way, he admired the spark of chaos that had ignited in their eyes. This whole affair was not just a taste of revenge. It was a banquet, and he intended to feast. "Why are you doing this?" Mark interjected, trying to regain some composure, yet Alex could see the fear lurking behind his bravado. "You're better than this, man. You don't have to let this consume you." "Better? Better? I didn't choose to be consumed by the rage. You two made this choice for me," Alex shot back, misting over his mind's eye with bitterness. the memories of laughter and shared dreams flashing before his vision like a broken reel. "You destroyed what I held dear." Emily reached out, desperation oozing from her expression. "Please, Alex, I can explain. We can talk this through." Talk implies there's something left to salvage," he seethed, standing to his full height, casting a dark shadow over both of them. "You know what's left now. Just the wreckage of all your lies, and I'm done being a casualty of your twisted little game." The bustling atmosphere of the cafe fell to silence, every patron now drawn into the explosive confrontation unfolding before them. They watched, captivated and horrified, as Alex unleashed the pent-up storm within him. "Do you realize how utterly pathetic this is?" he continued, his voice low and dangerous as he pointed at both of them. "You were supposed to be my best friend, my girlfriend. Now you're nothing more than two tragic characters in a Shakespearean drama." The bitterness simmered, tinged with darkness. "Your true selves are laid bare, and I'm here to watch you destroy each other in a whirlpool of your twisted love affair. It's only fitting. Two traitors, destined to sink together," he sneered, turning on his heel and storming away. As he strode past the enraptured onlookers, he was engulfed in a whirlwind of emotions, relief and triumph, interwoven with a thread of lingering sorrow. In the backdrop of the cafe, he heard Emily's pleading voice trail after him, but his resolve hardened at what he had set in motion. Back at his apartment, he felt like a king surveying the ruins of an empire he had orchestrated to collapse. The adrenaline rush wrapped around him like a cloak, each pulse singing the sweet melody of vindication. But that initial thrill was replaced by a cold realization. With their humiliation, he had also painted a target on his own back. Fate was a cruel mistress, and he was entwined in its dark, twisted design. Days later, the aftershocks of his revenge were felt throughout their social circle like tremors. Friends diffused ties, and whispers clouded the air. Footnotes to their tragic betrayal. Alex watched from his apartment, relishing every detail, but soon the victory felt hollow. Shadows of doubt crept in, gnawing at his brain. What next? What was the final act of this sordid play? He picked up his phone, dialing the number of the only person he felt could understand the pain he had endured. The moment his old confidante picked up, he steeled himself, resolute. "Is it time to finish this once and for all? I want them to feel more than just shame. I want their world to come crashing down completely." As he threw himself deeper into the abyss of revenge, he drafted a final. Weeks later, they would gather, unaware that the puppeteer had orchestrated one last grand performance. It was a charity event, and what better place for Alex to execute his final act than an audience filled with their peers? He imagined the look on their faces as the veil was lifted, their final secrets laid bare against a backdrop of horror. What would transpire that night would serve as a testament to betrayal's deadly dance, a grand finale he hoped would end not just their romance but everything they once held dear. As he arrived at the venue, an upscale gala filled with familiar faces, Alex could almost taste the bitter sweetness of their impending doom. For every smile exchanged, he felt the stirrings of chaotic satisfaction bubbling within. Tonight, under the shining chandeliers, he would lay waste to everything that had once been theirs. He strode confidently toward the center of the room, commanding attention, leading them all to the cusp of a life-defining revelation. The murmur of excitement rippled through the crowd as he stepped onto the makeshift stage, a soft smile playing at the corners of his lips. Under the burning lights, he addressed the audience with a voice smooth as silk but laced with venom. "Good evening, everyone. I, like many of you, have gathered here to support a cause dear to my heart. But it seems there's an even more pressing cause that needs your attention." Mark and Emily glanced up, fear flickering in their eyes, understanding dawning on them as his words unfurled like an ominous banner. With a precise swipe, he displayed images from the countless nights their betrayal had taken root. Whispers of the affair echoed off the walls as gasps filled the venue, the faces of their friends contorted into disbelief. A rift forming as realization struck like thunder. Alex continued, unfazed by their anguish, unveiling betrayal with the sharpness of a dagger, just a breath away from their throats. "Tonight, the truth is revealed, and with it, the support you once held turns to dust." He paused, allowing the silence to envelop them, a frigid cloak of humiliation binding him to their ruin. His voice grew loud, Each word resonated with the weight of their transgressions. What happens when your friends turn out to be the very betrayers you trust? You get a front row seat to a tragedy, all because two claim to love each other. Amidst the clamor, Emily's devastated expression became his most cherished victory. She looked rejected, abandoned by the very social standing she had thrived upon. Mark stood frozen, a shadow of the man he once was, stripped of belligerence, revealed as nothing more than a cowardly traitor. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the fantastic twist. I will not be the villain in this narrative. He leaned closer, locking their gazes, his eyes narrow and unforgiving. Mark, Emily, your love story ends tonight, but let it be known I am the one who authored your demise. A cold silence fell, the sharpness of Alex's words at once wicked and justified. He stepped down, feeling the surge of power coursing through him. Their fate was sealed. Their shame would linger long after the final curtain fell on their shattered lives. As he exited into the night, the echoes of chaos behind him still rang, reverberating through the tremors of their downfall. Perhaps he hadn't just avenged the betrayal. He had crafted a masterpiece of destruction and despair. Looking back at the glowing venue, he recited one last line, a cruel reminder of their shattered fairy tale ending. "What do you say about a love that belongs in the junkyard?" In that moment, Alex Bakerson knew he had not just won. He had tailored revenge into the very essence of his soul. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like.